This is Howard Walensky for Skype, and today I'm talking with Sarah Chauncey, who who's a library and media specialist outside New York City, but also has an interesting business called Skype An Author. And I wonder if you could tell me a little bit about what Skype An Author is and how you got started.
Well, Skype An Author isn't quite a business because it's a labor of love. It started when an author whose name is Mona Kerby visited our school last year. She wrote a book called Only the Mail Pouch Pooch, and she visited, did a slideshow on the book, and it was a great experience for the children in our school to meet Mona. And then this year, I decided to share her book again because it is historical fiction and based on a true story, but we couldn't afford to have her visit again. She's from Maryland. She's a professor at McDaniel College. So I asked her if she wanted to try to do a virtual visit using Skype. And it ended up working out really well. The students were very excited. They came up with questions and they were able to interview Mona. I projected her onto our large whiteboard so that the whole class could see her at once, and she could see the class because I turned our little video camera, webcam, so that she could see them. So we kind of did a web conference using Skype. I mean, it works out as a video conferencing tool. It's less expensive than having a video conferencing system. And so then we decided, you know what, I bet there are other authors who would be willing to meet with librarians, classes, and teachers, but how do you find them? So then we got the idea to set up this wiki and invite authors to join us so that their names would be out there in a list and teachers could visit one site and find authors that might wish to visit their classes.
Now, some of them work for, when I say work, visit for free, but there can be a charge for the visits as well, right?
Well, if you when you visit the Skype An Author website, each author's page has a similar template. And what we have asked is that each author do a meet the author visit at no charge, 10 to 15 minutes. And then they can also do extended visits for which they can set a price. So for 10 to 15 minutes, they would visit a classroom and simply maybe promote their book, take a couple of questions, and maybe kick off the reading of a book. That's the purpose of the Meet the Author, and those are free visits. And
How
if you,
how many authors do you have signed up?
we probably have right now about 30. Now, we didn't promote it heavily at the beginning because we had to get our rhythm going as far as what we say to the authors as far as the procedures for joining. We have that down really well right now. It takes me about 5 minutes. Once an author becomes a member, I can create their author page, which is the exact template they'll be using, and then I simply change their status to writer, and they update their own page and keep it updated. So at that point, I'm not involved in maintaining their page, and they
So
link to their own websites.
I hear you. Now, how many schools have availed themselves of, or libraries have availed themselves of this connection?
Well, at this point, we're not sure, but we will be asking for that input on the website soon. Again, this is fairly new, just 2 or 3 months in the making, and we've already had many authors sign up, and they're very excited. So what we'll be asking authors and schools to do is to give us some feedback so we can post that on Skype An Author as well. So that will be our next step, is to kind of start a conversation. Some authors have told me that they have done Skype visits in the past, but never had an efficient way to promote this, or they didn't know if other authors were doing it. So in a sense, it's a networking wiki for the authors as well as a place for teachers and librarians to find authors.
And Sarah, if an author wanted to find the wiki and sign up, how would he or she do that? What's the address?
Okay, it is called skypeanauthor.wetpaint.com. I am now promoting the site on Twitter, mentioning it on Twitter. Mona Kerby is involved in different organizations for authors, so she is promoting it or letting authors know that it exists. Soon we'll do it, let some publishing companies know about it. And again, we want to make sure that we were ready if we got many authors, wanting to get involved. We didn't want to be overwhelmed. We wanted to make sure we could handle it. But now, again, it takes a few minutes to actually get an author on and going. The other thing we found is that we included a section on how do you Skype, what are the procedures. So I created some screencasts to show how you set Skype up. And if you scroll down in the author list at the bottom, there's a Skype tutorials. Because what I've done with some authors who've never used Skype is at night at home, I'll say, well, if you want to test it out, let's just play together. So I've actually have some authors, who tested it out with me to be prepared for when they might do it with a classroom or another library.
Sarah, from your experience in the classroom with Mona or anybody else, what are your what's an anecdote that you remember or an experience that really kind of shows the benefit of this sort of a network?
Well, the best thing is having a meeting like this with the children, seeing the author, having the author talk to the children, and then allowing the children to ask questions and have the author respond. It's so close to having the author here in the room with us. And in some ways, it's more exciting because it's a little bit mysterious to children. In fact, after Mona met with us, and I had two classes of second graders in here, we had actually cut the call. We were done. And I shut down the smart board where we were projecting her image. And as the children walked out, one of the children looked at the smart board and just kind of waved and said, "Goodbye, Mrs. Kerby," as if she was there somewhere inside the whiteboard. And so it's still a little mysterious to kids. So it's very engaging because it's different. But it also opens up the possibilities to move outside the walls of the school into the wider world, because this is happening and it should be happening much more.
Well, listen, I appreciate your taking the time and keep me informed on how it's going, and maybe I can talk to a couple of your success stories as well.
Very good. I thank you for joining me here, and it's always fun to talk to someone that's not in the school.